This is the end. Read the room. Read the room. Read the silence. The silence is appalling. The cast is appalled. The cast is fed up. The cast is drained. Andy is fed up. Andy is drained. He cannot even conduct a successful reunion, because in no means was this a successful reunion. We all watched this reunion in its entirety, but we were not satisfied. I did not watch the reunion and I did not leave feeling satisfied, because there was no resolve. And there will never be a resolve. It's not going to happen. You guys, what we are witnessing is the end of an era. It is the end of a family. It is the beginning of a new New Jersey. And it's not going to include Joe and Melissa. This is very bold of me to say, but that is what I believe. Now, if I'm wrong, if season 14 comes out and we all find out that they end up signing everybody else up again to do yet another season, then by all means, come back to this video, drop down in the comments and say, nah, everybody came back. You were wrong. I can take it. I can take it. Trust me. However, it's not going to happen. This is not going to be another review where I hash out what happened and I try to guess what everybody's feeling and give my opinion on it. That's not what's going to happen. What I am doing right now is closing a chapter. And I want you guys to close this chapter as well. Because trust me, we're all invested. We've been watching this go on for 10 years. We are all very invested. So yeah, when you hear me report that there's rumors that Melissa and Marge might not come back, and you feel upset and you're pissed and you're like, but Teresa's the devil. We are all very invested in this. We are all picking sides and we're rooting for a team. And although we are playing for different sides, the only team that matters is the future of the Real Housewives of New Jersey. And there is no future with Teresa, Joe, and Melissa. At this point, because I'm telling you, this cast, this is the last time you are going to see this cast together. And it's written on a few people's faces. One in particular is Margaret Joseph's. At the beginning of the reunion, Margaret looked very confident and comfortable in her position as a full-time housewife. She looked like she was locked, loaded, and ready to expose Louis. You know, she had her manila, or her brown envelope that she kept dragging out. But really, there was nothing great in there. Okay, I believe, I'm gonna be honest. I believe that Louis hired Bo Dietl, or if he didn't hire him, I believe that Bo Dietl offered his services as a friend maybe for free, and was like, I'm going to investigate everybody. And everybody was investigated. We're not stupid, okay? We know what's going on, but who cares? By the end of that, by the end of season, like episode 3 of the reunion, Marge no longer looked secure in her position to be on the show next year. There was so much worry in her face. And some people may say, well, it was just such a tumultuous part 3, and Teresa was crying, and Melissa and Teresa were just going back and forth, and Joe and Teresa were going back and forth, and Louis and John Fuda was this, that, and the third. And the only thing going through Marge's mind at that moment is, am I safe for next season? And my answer is no, because this reunion has proven that you all cannot work together. You guys cannot coexist, and you guys are at such a distance, at such a breakdown in your dynamics and in your relationships to one another, that you can no longer be producible. Teresa's not going to work with Joe anymore. Teresa's not going to work with Melissa anymore. There's not going to be any filming between those two anymore. It's not going to happen. Someone's not coming back. Understand, people are not coming back next season, whether it's by choice or by default. People are not coming back next season. And it's not and it's not going to be Teresa. Teresa's coming back next season. And if you don't believe me, let me try to convince you as to why. Teresa has married one of the most polarizing people on reality TV. Louis is a ticking time bomb. Teresa and Louis still have a story to be told. And at the end of the day, reality TV is storytelling. Yes, they are following real people's lives, but this is a television show. So it's not about family. It's not about friendship or family dynamics. It's about mathematics. It's about what sells. It's about what's going to make our money back. What's going to make us money. What's going to secure our sponsors. It's, it's not about family at the end of the day. This Bravo is a machine that has employers, that has investments that need to be made good on, okay? They're not going to go against the people that matter the most. And that is the people that pay to make these shows be produced, be cast, be staffed, all that stuff. Investments must be protected. Real Housewives of New Jersey is a 13-year investment. Unfortunately, 10 of those years, 10, 11, 12, whatever of those years were spent watching Joe, Melissa, and Teresa go back and forth. That is no longer selling. We are all tired. Trust and believe, when you guys are online and you are posting about how you can just no longer watch this family fight, they are reading it. They are listening. They are polling. And then to see Andy have no control over that reunion, to some people may think, well, that just means there's drama. But look, everything that went down throughout part 1 and 3 and 2 of that reunion was not entertaining. It was a shit show. This is not entertaining to watch. This is hard for us to watch. And this is also annoying because we have done this for 10 years now. And we are checked out. It's kind of like shit or get off the pot. You're either going to be friends, you're either going to be cool, or you're not. The same can be said for the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And that's why they are bringing Mary back, because for the last, 3 seasons of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, we have seen, Whitney and Heather go back and forth. Are we going to go to church? Are we not going to go to church? That's been the same storyline for the last 3 seasons. But that hasn't been the main focus because one of their housewives was, accused of being a cult leader. So we were focusing on that, especially at the fact that she married her step granddaddy. Like there's story to be told behind that. Jen Shaw. Enough said. There's story to be told on that. So when you have Mary gone and you have Jen Shaw gone and all you have left is listening to Whitney and Heather talk about, am I a bad Mormon? Am I a good Mormon? My family disowned me. I'm no longer a part of the church, but I still want to be on the official church ledger or books or whatever like that. That's not a story. There's nothing. You can't tell anything with that. And they tried and they're failing. By the end of season 3, they had 3 housewives left? It's about storytelling. And Louis is probably one of the biggest stories that Jersey producers could bag. Like, if I was a producer on the show, I would be like, every moment we can have a camera ready, because Louis is a ticking time bomb. Teresa will ride for her man until the wheels fall off. So we got a 2-for-1 special. I promise you, with the weird shit that Louis is a part of or does or says, we're gonna see. I can't imagine their marriage lasting. And I hate to say that. I want everyone's love to last. But we see the red flags that I feel like Teresa doesn't see. And I feel like Teresa's met her match. I feel like Teresa has found her equal. And so it's kind of like watching, the Joker and Harley Quinn up to no good and on their bullshit, just minus the admiration from fans. Like, surely the Joker and Harley Quinn have more fans than Teresa and Louis. But there's still a story to be told. There's, we just know down the line there's going to be some scandal and some mess and some bullshit that is going to come from those two. So they're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. And Bravo and Andy and the producers, they are going to continue to appease Teresa because, again, Teresa brings story. She's been married on the show. She's been divorced on the show. She's had her kids on the show. She's been to prison on the show. And now she's buried her parents. She's buried her parents on the show. And now she has lost the only family member that she had left. And simultaneously married someone who is, like I said, probably a villain in real life. There's still story left to be told. On the other hand, some people are like, I wish they would get rid of Teresa. When you come to work and you do your job, it's, 10 times out of 10, your employer's not going to get rid of you. But if you're Melissa and Joe, and you come to work and you half-ass it, and, you find success not on your own merit, meaning you found success not because of envy. You found success not because of the 1 million businesses that you've had, Joe. You found success not because of your late in life pop star singing career. You found success because you had a quarrel with your sister and your sister-in-law, Teresa. As much as hard as it is for people to understand, Teresa was their storyline. And I honestly feel like the Gorgas played their cards wrong. They did. They played their cards wrong. They played it safe. They had so many opportunities to have their own storyline on this show without Teresa. But if you were to, if we were to film season 14, think about it. If we were to film season 14 without Teresa, and only Melissa, Gorga, and Joe Gorga were to stay, would you be interested? Would it be interesting? If so, what would their storyline be? What story would they tell? Melissa trying to get pregnant again? We all knew that was bullshit. Joe Gorga, still acting like he's in college and waxing people's chest. It's good for a moment, but we can't do that all season. What story are you telling? What story are you bringing? What's going on in your life? For 10 years, Teresa has been what's going on in your life. And that's unfortunate. That is so unfortunate. If there was real story that you could have told, then of course you would have been able to stay. But your only reason for joining the show, which is being the sister-in-law and the sister of Teresa Giudice and having a strained relationship, is now also going to be the reason why you no longer are able to come back, because she is not going to film with you. That's it. Watching the time from when Teresa comes back on stage after she walked away and she was crying and all that stuff. Watching her come back on stage, and again, just reading the room, reading the energy, the faces, everyone's exhausted of the story, and it can no longer be told. I think the only thing that we can do at this point concerning Teresa, Joe, and Melissa, and Louis is to wait and see whose marriage survives. That's the only story that I feel like can be told at this moment, because there's no reconciliation is not in the cards. The door is closed. But I want to see now, because Joe and Melissa are not coming back. I don't feel it. Joe and Melissa are not coming back. So, let's try to predict what's going to happen. If Joe and Melissa are no longer on the show and they're already facing financial troubles, there's always been rumblings under the surface that there was money issues going on with the family, at least with Joe and Melissa. And now they're being sued. They're being called out by other companies for unpaid bills. Their house of cards is tumbling at this point. Not only are they going to miss that Bravo check, but they're also going to have a whole heap of shit to answer for. Once the show ends, I wonder, someone made a comment when they're no longer on the show, I wonder if Melissa's going to stay. Melissa's still looking good. Melissa's still in her prime. I mean, she's not a spring chicken, but she's in her prime. Melissa is fucking, she's smoking hot, okay? She's boring as shit, but she is fucking gorgeous. So she could move on to someone who's wealthier and who can offer more, you know, and who's not, you know, complaining about her working at Envy and wanting her to stay home and take care of the kids all the time. On top of that, their kids are of an age where if she got a new husband, they could adapt, they could adjust, okay? So I wonder, like, once they're off the show, do you think their marriage is gonna last? Because Teresa has been trying to tell us for over a decade now, or she's been telling us for over a decade now, that Melissa is there for the money and she doesn't really love my brother. And so I want to know, is she going to be gone? Simultaneously, like, juxtaposed to that situation, okay, Teresa has chosen her spouse. At the end of this part 3, the brother and the sister, they didn't choose each other. They chose the families that they married. Joe chose Melissa and Teresa chose Louis. So now I want to know, now that Joe and Melissa are no longer in Teresa's life, you know, what if Teresa starts to see all of the terrible, horrible things that everybody else could see about Louis, right? And what if Louis becomes Teresa's worst nightmare? You know, are we gonna see, I'm telling you guys, I don't know what to expect from Louis and Teresa other than television. Like, I foresee so much scandal and just bullshit coming from that camp that I know they're going to be on at least 2 more seasons, even if Teresa's tired. After Joe and Melissa leave the show, is Louis going to start showing his true colors? Is he going to, you know, take over at the show? Is he going to ruin Teresa's life? Because that's what it feels like. Like, this feels like a bad decision Teresa made by marrying Louis. I know we all feel it. We all feel it. And our intuitions can't be wrong. Like, our gut feelings can't be wrong. And so I just know there's a lot more mess to come with that couple. But at the moment, they are happy, blissfully, and living life. So I wish them nothing but the best. I do. But I'm curious to see what's next to come. Honestly, you guys, watching part 3, I got the vibes. What I was feeling from part 3 was the same feeling I was getting from Real Housewives of Atlanta season 9 with the Candy, the Phaedra, and Portia, you know, drugging allegation sex scandal. Like, we've just reached a climax. We've reached a peak. And we're at a point of no return. There is no reconciliation. We can't come back from that. We can only move forward. But in order to move forward, somebody can't come back. And just like Phaedra couldn't come back, Phaedra still can't come back. Phaedra has been invited to Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. Phaedra is on the Real House, on Married to Medicine now. Phaedra is still working at Bravo, but Phaedra cannot be on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And maybe for a good, it's a good thing for her because the show is shit right now. But when Candy has made it abundantly clear, I'm not, if she's coming back, I'm not filming with her. And again, this isn't about friendships and this isn't about family. This is about television. This is a show. And Candy has way more influence and way more friends than way more fans than Phaedra. Candy's always Candy brings so much more to Real Housewives of Atlanta than Phaedra ever could. And it's like, if I had to bet on a horse, I'm going to bet on Candy. So we're going to appease Candy. We're going to keep Candy. The same concept goes for Teresa and Melissa. Who has the bigger fan base? Who has the bigger legacy? Who gives us what we pay for? Who has more story to tell? It's Teresa. It's not Melissa. So Teresa's coming back. Melissa and Joe are not. We have to accept that. If I can make any other analogy, it is like the Hunger Games. I love the Hunger Games. I love the Hunger Games. Just like the Flickerman guy, the television host, you know, the colorful guy played by Steven Lucci, maybe. When all of the tributes were holding hands and Peter was like, if it wasn't for the baby, and the fans were like, oh, baby, what baby? Stop the show. Stop the show. And the Flickerman guy was like, you motherfucker. Kill the lights. Kill the lights. Like, even though there were real people's lives at stake, it was still a television show, and they were doing whatever they can to give that show. This is the same thing. We are dealing with real people's lives, but at the end of the day, it is a television show with a bigger budget, a bigger audience, a more lucrative platform. They are not going to throw this shit away by risking another season of us watching Melissa and Teresa go at it. That's all I got to say. I have nothing else to say, y'all. If you enjoyed this content, like, comment, subscribe, and share. I appreciate the engagement. It's giving small creators like myself a chance. To all my new followers, welcome to the family. You are officially my in-laws, and we are on this crazy ass motherfucking ride together. Anyway, bye.